Good morning, everyone present here. Hope you all are keeping well and safe. I, Ashwi Shah, welcome you all for a national online webinar series on mediation, hosted by Sayajirao Center for Alternate Dispute Resolution, conducted by Faculty of Law, the MAHARAJA Sayajirao University of Baroda, in collaboration with Mediators India. Mediation is an age-old process of dispute resolution, practiced since the Vedic period. It is a low cost, keeping the matters, especially family matters, secret among the parties and the mediators. Moreover, the solution is also not imposed on any of the parties. It is a solution that both the parties agree to. It gives an effective solution in a peaceful manner. Thus, for aiding the participants in bringing awareness for social transformation, we are conducting this mediation webinar series. Today, we are having an inaugural session and the first webinar of our mediation series. For our inaugural session, we are obliged to have with us our distinguished speaker, Honorable Justice R.M. Chhaya, a judge, High Court of Gujarat, and Ms. Pooja Anand, an advocate and mediator, to enlighten us with their knowledge and experiences. I welcome you, sir and madam, on behalf of Faculty of Law, the MAHARAJA Sayajirao University of Baroda. We also do have with us Ms. Kavita Balakrishna, Advocate, Mediator, Secretary, Mediators India. Welcome to you too, madam. Before starting with today's session, I would request all the participants to follow the webinar etiquettes for the smooth session. Please keep your mics muted and cameras off during the whole time. Do not use share screen option. In case of any questions related to the session, kindly mail us on scadr-law@mscbaroda.ac.in so that we can put up the same before our speakers during our question and answer session. Now, with that, I request Ms. Zankna ma'am to play the university song.
मगन मगन थई फरनारा Thank you, Kavita ma'am. Now I request Dr. Kavita Goel ma'am, Assistant Professor, the Faculty of Law, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, to introduce our Dean, OSD, Professor Dr. Uma Iyer ma'am. Over to you, Kavita ma'am.
Thank you, Ishwi ma'am. A very good morning to one and all present here. Respected Professor Uma Iyer, Webinar Series Director, distinguished speaker, Honorable Mr. Justice R.M. Chaya, Ms. Pooja Anand, Advocate and Mediator, Dr. Namrata Luhar, Webinar Convener, Ms. Kavita Bhatia, Webinar Coordinator, my dear colleagues at the faculty, members of Mediator India, and dear participants. I welcome you all on the first day of online webinar series on mediation. It is indeed a great privilege to introduce Professor Uma Iyer ma'am. Ma'am has added several ornaments to her academic and administrative position in her vast illustrious career. Madam presently is the officer on special duty on Faculty of Law and Director of MDC and former Dean of Faculty of Family and Community Sciences. She has also been the member of Senate and Syndicate of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. Ma'am is the distinguished academician with the specialization in food and nutrition and having teaching experience of nearly 3 decades. Her area of research has been the dietary management of non-communicable diseases like diabetes, heart disease, etc., as well as the adolescent nutrition, especially with focus on midday meal scheme, where she has also been invited as a reviewer for midday meal scheme for different states of India by Ministry of MHRDC. She has also been on board of eminent bodies of different universities as well as the committees of the Government of India like FSSAI as well as the Government of Gujarat in relation to nutrition. Ma'am has a vast research experience which includes 2 books to her credit and nearly 100 research papers published in various national and international journals. Ma'am is also the recipient of many national and international awards from eminent institutions or organizations like Indian Dietetic Association and Sardar Patel University, Home Science Association of India, ISF THS at Jawaharlal Nehru University, AIIMS at New Delhi, Charotar University of Science and Technology, etc. Ma'am has also been the principal investigator of various minor and major projects funded by government, Britannia Industry Limited, NGOs and industries like ICMR, JRF, UGC, Kellogg's India Limited, WHO, ICMR, Patronat LNG Limited, GACL, GIPCL, GSFC, Jivraj Mehta Smarak Health Foundation, Jivraj Mehta Hospital, Ahmedabad. MEM has also contributed in the development of e-content on various topics of e-Pathshala. Recently, Faculty of Law has been ranked first in the state of Gujarat and third in the top outstanding law schools of excellence by I wish under her dynamic leadership, Faculty of Law achieve new heights. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our respected Professor Uma Iyer, madam, to deliver welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kavita, and good morning, everyone. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Professor Vijay Kumar Srivastava, our Chief Guest and Keynote Speaker, Honorable Mr. Justice R.M. Chaya, Advocate and Mediator, Ms. Pooja Anand, our webinar conveners, Dr. Namrata Solanki from the Maharaja Sayajirao University, and Ms. Kavita Balakrishnan from Mediators India, webinar coordinator, Ms. Kavita Bhatia, all the colleagues of the Faculty of Law, dear students and participants. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to today's National Webinar Series on Mediation, jointly organized by the Sayajirao Center for Alternate Dispute Resolution of the Faculty of Law of the Maharaja Sayajirao University and Mediators India. In all, 5 sessions with 10 experienced, dynamic, versatile speakers have been planned by the 2 collaborating partners to update and enrich the gathering on mediation. We all know that the Mediation Bill 2021 was introduced in the Rajya Sabha on December 20th December 2021. Mediation is a form of alternate dispute resolution where parties attempt to settle their dispute outside courts with the assistance of an independent third person, that is the mediator. The bill states that the mediation settlement agreement will have the status of a judgment or decree of a court, which will be binding. This will go a long way in ensuring that agreements arrived at through mediation are recognized and enforced by the law. In order to understand the various aspects related to mediation, several sessions have been planned, like importance of mediation in current age, fundamentals of mediation and understanding conflicts, civil and family mediation, implicit biases in mediation, commercial mediation, online mediation, courtroom observations on mediation, importance of UN CITRAL and Singapore Convention, community mediation, and the role of youth in mediation movement. This wide range of topics would help to understand the various facets and dimensions that are related to mediation. I hope that this online mediation series will provide valuable inputs and skills towards the mediation process. Once again, I welcome you all to the interesting session on mediation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Umayya ma'am. Now I request Ms. Kavita Bhatia, Assistant Professor, the Faculty of Law, to give introduction of SCADR.
Thank you, Namrata ma'am. A very good morning and very warm welcome to all. Respected Professor Umayya madam, esteemed speaker of the webinar, respected senior members of the faculty, dear colleagues and dear participants. It's my privilege to introduce SCADR. The Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad III was very visionary ruler. He has tried to bring reforms in education and all other fields, including judiciary. Maharaja Sayajirao Gaikwad III has established magnificent court buildings and appointed judges for speedy disposal of cases. Considering ADR as a significant mechanism to resolve disputes when courts are burdened with cases, the Sayajirao Center for Alternative Dispute Resolution, Faculty of Law, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, was established in the year 2021 with a primary objective to enhance activities in the field of alternative dispute resolution. The other significant objective of the SCADR is to impart clinical education in the emerging field of ADR and to encourage law graduates to opt a career option as ADR counsels, ADR advisors, ADR consultants, and also as arbitrator, conciliator, mediators, and negotiators. The other objectives of the SCADR includes to enhance and support ADR activities, to develop effective conflict resolution skills among students and young lawyers who intend to practice and to become ADR practitioners, to facilitate and develop research and development in ADR, to organize national and international events and competitions on ADR, to offer certificate courses on ADR mechanism, to offer professional skills to the disputant parties for resolution of disputes, to offer consultancy to institutions, organizations, and corporates. This was all objectives of SCADR, which are planned ahead. Now, I request Dr. Namrata Luhar, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Law, to introduce the mediation series. Over to you, Namrata ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Kavita Bhatia.
A very good morning to Professor V.K. Srivastava, patron of the National Webinar Series on Mediation and Honorable Vice Chancellor of the MAHARAJA Sayajirao University of Baroda, Professor Uma Iyer, OSD, Dean, Faculty of Law, and the Webinar Director, Ms. Kavita Balakrishnan, co-convener of the webinar, Ms. Kavita Bhatia, coordinator of the webinar, our distinguished speakers, Honorable Mr. Justice R.M. Chaya and Ms. Pooja Anand, participants, my colleagues from the Faculty of Law, attendees and students. Since the establishment of Sayajirao Center for Alternate Dispute Resolution, we have been looking forward for holding activities in the field of alternate dispute resolution. As Ms. Kavita Bhatia has said, that the objective of the Sayajirao Center for Alternate Dispute Resolution is to boost ADR activities. We are fortunate enough to have with us collaborating Mediators India, who has collaborated with us, and that is the reason the National Webinar Series on Mediation is going to be organized in the month of February and March. The webinar series will be conducted on Saturdays starting from today, that is 12th of February 2022, and the last webinar will be held on 12th of March 2022. The series is been planned, has a very specific objective to discuss about the nuances of mediation, and for that we have planned different topics which will be deliberated and discussed, like civil and family mediation, importance of mediation, understanding conflicts, online mediation, community mediation, so on and so forth. We have with us on our board eminent judicial officers, former judges of the High Court of Gujarat, advocates, and eminent mediators of the country who will be sharing their experiences and wisdom with the participants. Each of the webinar will be having a question and answer session when the participants will be given an opportunity to interact with the speakers. I'm very sure that all these sessions to go from today will provide an overall and holistic view about mediation, the ins and outs of the mediation, and will definitely help all of us in understanding mediation, the legal aspects of mediation in a much better manner. As mediation is seen as a very good career option for the students, especially the law students, I'm very sure that the budding lawyers will be able to gain a lot of experience and will be able to understand mediation and the intricacies involved in mediation in much depth. This is just an overview of what we are going to do from today till 12th of March. I'm very sure the participants attending the series will be getting a lot of knowledge, as we are also going to get the knowledge. With these words, I would like to tell that today we are having Honorable Mr. Justice R.M. Chaya, Judge of the High Court of Gujarat, who will be talking about the importance of mediation. As we all know that mediation is very important, and at the same time, the courts have also took this concept further and is being seen as one of the best methods for resolving the conflicts. We are looking forward to listen to you, sir. We have with us Ms. Pooja Anand, who will be talking about understanding conflicts and the fundamentals of mediation. And we are looking forward to you as well, ma'am. Hope the session will be enriching and intellectually stimulating. I wish you all a very happy learning. Wish you all the best. And with this, we can take the program further. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, SCADR, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. We may now request Ms. Kavita Balakrishnan, ma'am, to speak about Mediators India as to what the organization is. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Namrataji. It has been about 2 decades since the Mediation and Conciliation Project Committee of the Supreme Court took the decision to introduce court-annexed mediation in India. However, over the years, it was felt that there was a need for an establishment of a body that would not only be a forum of mediators fraternity in India, but also to understand, assimilate, collaborate, and share knowledge and good practice in the field of mediation, and also to create awareness about mediation at large. With this intent, the senior mediators across India set the foundation of Mediators India in the year 2017. Mediators India is a national association of Indian mediators. It is the largest growing network of association of mediators in India. It was started with the aim to create a network of mediators in India and to educate, promote, create awareness of mediation as an effective alternative to adversarial system. The association is proud to have the Honorable Supreme Court judges, High Court judges, ADR experts, and senior mediators in the country as its patron and members. To name a few stalwarts like late Mr. D.S. Parikh, Mr. Niranjan Bhatt, Mr. Sriram Panju, Mrs. Sheila Balsari, Mrs. Laila Olapalli, Mrs. Uma Ramanathan, Mr. Anil Xavier, Mr. A.J. Jawad belongs to Mediators India. That is not all. The members of Mediators include not just senior mediators, but also young professionals who are exploring the field of mediation. The organization provides a platform where the mediators engage with each other, both formally and informally, irrespective of their age or seniority, to explore about mediation. To quote an event, when the government asked the senior members for their inputs on the proposed Mediation Bill 2021, our young members had not only an opportunity to express their views, but also to debate with the senior mediators. Believe me, it was a very enriching experience. We at Mediators India have, over the past 4-5 years of our existence, have undertaken several programs, including in collaboration with universities and other organizations. Mediators India is determined to take mediations to younger people. The future of dispute resolution lies in the hands of the future generation, and it is a moment of pride for us to collaborate with the ADR faculty of this esteemed university. Further, we have several new programs and initiatives lined up. So keep a lookout for the announcement. The details will be available on our Facebook and LinkedIn pages. If you want to know more about us, please feel free to contact us. And I would like to conclude with the words of the great Greek philosopher Epictetus. If at some point of time in your life, if you should find anything better than justice, honesty, self-control, and courage, embrace it without reservation. It must be an extraordinary thing indeed, and it perfectly defines mediation. Now it is time to embrace mediation. Thank you. And now over to Namrata. Thank you, Namrata ji.
Thank you, Ms. Kavita Balakrishnan ma'am, for introducing Mediators India. Let us now move ahead with the webinar.
Now I would like to request Dr. Ghanshyam Solanki sir, Associate Professor, Faculty of Law, to give a brief introduction of Ms. Pooja Anand, Advocate and Mediator. Over to you, sir.
Shweta madam. Good morning, everyone. It is indeed a matter of great privilege and honor for me to introduce to all of you our next esteemed expert of today's webinar on mediation, organized by Faculty of Law in collaboration with Mediators India. Our next speaker is highly renowned advocate and mediator of Supreme Court of India, the High Court of Delhi, and District Court Saket, who shares more than 28 years of experience and expertise in the field of mediation. Ms. Pooja Anand, who stood top in her law exams, enrolled with bar in year 1994. She has done her MA with English Literature as a major subject from Delhi University. The meritorious track record and topping in law exams, plus a zeal to work and gain expertise in the field of law and more specifically mediation, enabled her to join the esteemed offices of Mr. G. Rangaswamy, renowned former Attorney General of India in the year 1994, immediately after she topped her law exams. Thereafter, since 1998, she has been independently practicing as an advocate and a mediator at Supreme Court of India, Delhi High Court, and District Court Saket. Madam has undergone advocacy skills training program organized by British Council, which is certified by INS Court, United Kingdom. Madam has also undergone a program on mediation and conciliation organized by Dallas University, United States of America in the year 2006. Her vast experience and expertise in the field of advocacy and mediation has enabled her to undertake a number of training programs for lawyers across the country. For last more than 12 years, Madam has been empaneled as a mediator by Honorable Supreme Court of India, Delhi High Court, and District Court Saket on matters pertaining to alternate dispute resolution, both for commercial as well as civil and matrimonial cases. That is not all. Pooja Madam is also semi-accredited Level 1 International Mediator since year 2020. That was a brief introduction of Pooja Madam, who is our next expert speaker for today's webinar. On behalf of Faculty of Law, the great Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, I would like to thank you, Madam, for accepting our invitation for today's webinar. Your esteemed expertise in the field of mediation and advocacy would be a long way go for our students, PhD scholars, and my PA teachers. Thank you again, Madam, for accepting our invitation. I welcome you again to the webinar organized by Faculty of Law. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solanki, for those very, very nice words. And thank you so much. Yes, I've been practicing mediator since over 12 years now and 28 years into the practice as a lawyer. So with that word, I would say in Gujarati, Tame kem cho, all of you all, as is said in Gujarati. Gujarat has been like a second home. My Honorable Justice Chaya, thank you so much for allowing me to speak after you and for sharing this online podium. I really feel very, very honored and delighted, and start with the topic which has been given to me to speak on. So we start with the first topic. It's broken up into two. The topic which I will begin with is fundamentals of mediation. Now, as Honorable Justice Chaya said, and I thank him for saying that, we always consider mediation as ADR. And whenever if I were to ask generally, you will all say alternate dispute resolution. I always call it appropriate dispute resolution. It is the most appropriate in today's time, because with the fast moving world, the technology and people not having time to waste over the years in litigation, mediation becomes an appropriate module for dispute resolution. Now, the fundamentals of mediation are such that they empower the parties. The disputing parties, when they come to know that point number one, mediation is voluntary. Or when the parties come for mediation and you tell them that this process is voluntary, there are no compulsions on you to be attending, they feel empowered. They feel that, okay, I have a right to be here. Now, the first question which will come to the minds of students is that if it is voluntary, why would they come? And what about the court annex mediations? Are they voluntary because the court is sending them? Yes, the court only guides them to try for mediation. But the outcome of the mediation is in the hands of the party. So the process is absolutely voluntary. The voluntariness is to the extent that during the mediation,
any of the party is not comfortable with the process, they have the right to say that I do not wish to continue. They can opt out. At any point of time, at any given point of time, they feel that the mediator, who is supposed to be an impartial, neutral third party, is somewhere partial. They can go to the center and seek another mediator. So the parties feel that actually we are empowered. So that feeling gives them confidence. The confidence gives them the right to self-determine what should be the outcome of the mediation. Now, there are three types of mediations. Primarily, India, since we are still in the nascent stages, we are still going with the facilitative mediation. So mediator's role as of now is to facilitate. The outcome is in the hands of the party. The process is governed by the mediator. So there lies the main difference. The other two are evaluative and transformative. We are not talking as of now on those aspects because we are restricting our talk to facilitative mediation. The parties who come first, the role of the mediator is to give an opening statement. When the mediator sits and there is a table where all the parties sit, it's usually an oval sitting, and there is no higher pedestal for the mediator to show to them that that particular person, the neutral third party, is impartial, and both of them are holding on to the space and are same in the eyes of the mediator. So then there is an opening statement where the mediator is duty bound to inform the process is voluntary, confidential, confidentiality is maintained. There will be a joint session where parties will elicit what the dispute is about. They will make small statements. Thereafter, an agenda will be set by the mediator that we might break into a private caucus, a session where mediator talks with one party first and then the second party for the second time. Usually the time period devoted to both parties is the same so as to maintain the impartiality. Impartiality is not only a word, it is also denoted by actions. Supposing being in the profession, you see a friend whom you haven't met for a year or two in the same profession being busy, and you see that person walking in and you get up and hug that person. Oh, how come you're here? And then that person sits. There goes the impartiality for a toss in the minds of the parties. Impartiality has to be there in the minds of the parties. That has to be established by the actions of the mediator. Because the party who is accompanying the mediator's lawyer friend would feel, oh, we have an edge over the other. And the other party will feel, oh, this mediator is going to be biased because that lawyer is a friend of hers. So you have to control your actions. You have to maintain the decorum. You have to welcome and give equality to both of them. So by the actions, impartiality has to be exhibited and not merely by making a statement. Further, once the agenda is set, the parties will be venting out. So you have to tell them that no use of unparliamentary language. Usually people vent out and get aggressive in matrimonial disputes. So you have to tell them that this is a platform for you to vent out, yes, but not go aggressive. After this venting out is done, slowly parties, they start generating options as to what actually is they want. So mediation is a point where in dispute resolution, from the rights, the focus shifts to interests and needs. That is the beauty of mediation. In litigation, it is only about the rights. When you are in adversarial litigation, the needs and the interests are not the focus. It's the rights which are the focus. But when you come to mediation, the past is, after the venting out, is supposed to be pushed back. And the focus is to be taken to the underlying interests, the needs of the party, what actually would help them. Because what has to be good for one person has to be good for the other party. It has to be a win-win situation for both the parties. So the mediator explains during the process that you may not get 100% of what one party would get in the court, but definitely in the shortest possible time, the settlement which is determined by you, the outcome is determined by you. Both parties go back with their relations intact, not necessarily adversarial, because what happens is that once people sit on the table and they hatch the dispute, then relationships also improve. It is not necessary that they will go out with anger. Kavitaji, slides, please. So what happens is that mediation not only takes care of your present relation, but also helps to build future relations. Once the options are generated by the parties, then there is a phase of initial negotiation. The initial negotiation, it is the duty of the mediator not to rush with the settlement. The mediator must sit back and what we call it is smart testing, SMART. So smart testing has to be done. When we say smart testing, smart is a very, very scientific process which we use. Once you come into the world of mediation and be active mediators, it will become part of your system. So when we say that the settlement is coming through, so we have to see whether the option which has been generated is specific, whether it is measurable, whether it is assignable, whether it is realistic, whether it is time related. So that is how smart word comes into play. Now, with that, I will just give an example. It's like maybe there is a tenant and a landlord dispute. And because of this pandemic situation, the tenant who's been running a restaurant is not able to pay the landlord the specific rent in time. So they could generate options where maybe the landlord says, okay, I offer you 5 lakhs more to the tenant, and you pay me equity of 30% in your business. So that is an out-of-box thinking which can only happen in mediation. In litigation, it would be, okay, this is the rent payable, pay the rent or vacate the premises. And if you want to continue, then this is it. These are the rights. Now, interests and needs come into play in the same scenario where the parties come for mediation. The landlord can say, I will pay the tenant to help him bail out of his financial situation by giving him 5 lakhs. And then you give equity in your restaurant business of 30% because I would want 30%. Might be he starts at 50, but negotiates and comes to 30. So then the tenant will feel that, yes, I get to gain. My business will not close. I have further things in my hand. And then the relationship will change from landlord-tenant to partnership in equity in business. So that is the beauty of mediation. It is an out-of-box resolution to the same dispute, to the same problem. And it is very satisfying. Why? Because the parties go back very happy. They thank you. They actually feel that you have changed their life as a person, whereas all that you have done is you have facilitated the process. Mediation has its definite rules. Now we have to understand that when mediation is there, it cannot be conducted in any and every matter. Mediation is appropriate in commercial disputes, definitely in family matters, matrimonial disputes, inheritance matters, where maybe a family's elder has gone interstate, not signed a will, not made a will. So the family can sit and settle on the disputes of the property by thinking what they want. Personal injury matters, there is an accident, you do not wish to go to the court, you settle it out of court. Community or neighborhood dispute, somebody has broken your car window, there is some noise pollution, and you want to, what is this going on? There is noise pollution in the neighborhood and you want to close that. So all these matters definitely can come for mediation and can be settled. But at the same time, there are certain matters which cannot be done by mediation. Why? Because they are pertaining to public or government policy. So that is something you cannot file a mediation against the government for any policy. Where the mediator feels that the process of mediation is being misused for maybe gathering information. Maybe there is a partnership dispute for ancestral property and all the property details are not known to one party. And they just file mediation to gather information what all are the properties. So the forum should not be misused. Then when there are extreme power imbalances, like there is one party who is very, very well off and rich. Kavita ji, can we just move the slides further? That power imbalance makes it very difficult for parties to settle because there is a big estate, agent. And then there is a small time worker. The power imbalance is such that mediation will not be possible in some scenarios. Then where a party is suffering from psychological disorders and is not able to, I would say, assume responsibility for whatever is the outcome. In such matters, it is advisable not to even try mediation because it will not be a good precedent. For the mediation, there are certain skills which are required by a mediator. So number one is a mediation skill. Negotiation skill is important. You cannot suggest to the parties that, all right, in your situation, we are all human beings. So that is why training is very important, because you cannot tell the party, oh, in your situation, I would do this. End of the story. This is what you should be doing. No, we are not supposed to tell the parties. The options have to come from them. As mediator, we facilitate the process. We cannot be telling the parties that I feel in your situation, this is what you should do. No, that is not the role of a mediator. So you have to only facilitate the negotiation. As a facilitator, this is the primary role. Second, as I explained, impartiality has to be observed with the actions of the mediator. The impartiality is one aspect as a neutral third party, which will actually build the trust that there is this person who has no vested interest, and this person is now helping us with coming to some kind of a resolution to our issue. So it is very important that the parties were to understand that. There are 5 steps which need to be focused upon when we say that the person or the party or the parties to the dispute, there can be more than 2 parties to the dispute. So we have to understand from them what is their underlying interest, because initially the parties will not come out with actual facts of what they want. But definitely once into the sessions with the impartiality in place, by telling the parties that the whole source of their mediation is self-determination, the right to determine. It's like if I give by example, there was this party before me in a matrimonial dispute who were there. That the husband had filed for divorce and the parties had been staying separately for more than 3.5 years, and they had a child, they had a daughter. And there was so much of acrimony, they had not spoken to each other. My role as a facilitator was not only to see that the money part is exchanges hands, that yes, how much is the maintenance, how much is the alimony. As a facilitator, my role was to find out what exactly is their need, what is their interest. And believe me, you, after having not spoken to each other for 3.5 years, they started communicating to the effect that they actually went back together. The divorce was withdrawn and the parties are living together. And because as a mediator, ethically, we do not connect with the parties. Our contact numbers, our phone numbers are not given to the parties. After the mediation was through and they started staying together, they requested for my number, called me and informed me that they have been blessed with a baby boy. And in my honor, they have kept the name Anand, because their whole family was looking for divorce. Whereas they went back together with efforts, because I took them on the path of, you were in love with each other. What happened that you are today at the doorstep of a divorce? Now, as a mediator, I can't say, no, you came for divorce. You have to go for divorce. You can't go back together. This is my role, is not to give them the directions. My role is to find out what they want. So they wanted to be back together. So we signed the settlement. They went back together. They are happy together and they're living together. But had they gone to the court would find out once, because these days it is mandatory even in the courts to go in for conciliation, that why not try and get the parties together. But the efforts which were put in the mediation center, there is no time. The judicial officers have such a huge backlog of work that they cannot be devoting so much of time to each and every case. So there the divorce would have come through, but here the parties went back together. So this is what mediation brings about. There is a sea change in the mindset of people also. They do not wish to litigate. They do not wish to fight. They do not wish to argue, because they feel it is going to be a criminal waste of time, energy, efforts. The parties have become wise, and even in the nascent stages of mediation, we have made huge success, and slowly everybody is being motivated. Like, I took my training after being in the profession since 1994. My first training was in 2009 as a mediator. And now senior advocates, without any ego or pride, are taking training from different people, maybe younger people, but senior in the field of mediation. So having said that, let's come back now on the conflict theory. Now, when I talk about the theory of conflict, when I say conflict, as young students and still in your university days, conflict would be anything trivial. I wanted that dress. That's a conflict. The other person got it. I like that person, but she's going with somebody else. Conflict. Conflict can be small or big. You wanted a particular subject, but the marks are not there. So in your mind, conflict. The conflict theory was propounded by Karl Marx in the 19th century. That was to explain the difference between the bourgeois and the proletarian. Now, there's always been conflict. Conflict is not necessarily negative. It also helps to grow, to branch out, and to find the resolutions to the conflict, which once you realize why there is conflict, then it will really help you to ease out. In mediation, when I talk, this is one other modern theory which was propounded in the mid-20th century by C. Wright Millers. He upgraded Marx's theory to the ruling class, to the power elite, those who have the power they control the whole setup. So this is a general concept about theory about the conflict in the world. When we are talking about mediation, when we consider what is conflict vis-a-vis mediation, then we realize that conflict is talking about a problem. What is the problem? Problem could be various kinds. The husband not taking care of his wife, her financial needs, her emotional needs, not taking care of the children. In a working atmosphere, the workers not getting their salary on time. There is a problem. Conflict begins. A contractor has only done part work in a building construction and left. Conflict begins. Why? Because the work is not complete, part performance. So all of these are few of the examples of conflict. Now, what happens in mediation is, especially in matrimonial disputes in India, it's not only a marriage between a couple. The families get married. So the first family, the external forces get involved. So what happens in the conflict theory is it is divided into three: the problem, the people, and the process. When I talk about people in the theory conflict, then who are the people? The people are mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. Everybody would be giving their inputs. So what the role of the mediator is to take away the problem, to take away the people, and then find out what was the basic premise, the basic issue of the conflict. So we as mediators have to be trained to move the people from the process of problem to the and come to what would be the option, what would be the process by which they can come further and come to a resolution. Because conflict has been there, conflict will continue to be there. Without conflict, as they say, change is the only constant. Similarly, variety of conflicts will continue. Earlier on, there were joint family systems, so people used to be mediators in the joint family. Now the couples are living neutral. So ego battles, pride, everything comes into play. But even if the couple is staying neutral, once they come for mediation, the first family follows, and then they try and cover up their own child that no, the fault lies with the other. So we have to separate the people from the problem. We need to do that very, very slowly without saying, oh, aap chup rahiye, you don't have to speak. No, this is not going to work. You have to, with your experience, elicit options that in this situation, what do you think will be the best for you? When you break up into the private sessions, parties might just open up and say, this is actually what I want, though my case is filed on the ground that I will not divorce him, but I'm willing to divorce him or her, provided these needs are taken care of. So the focus will shift from the person to the underlying interests and needs. If I were to just read the very nice, this Kavita ji has put forth, Psychology of Conflict. Conflict is a natural part of human lives. It is important that as a mediator, one understands this and not try to steer the mediation away from it. The parties to the mediation need to be allowed to express their emotions. It is your job as a mediator to separate the facts of the dispute from the emotions of the parties in order to clarify the issues between the parties and look for potential points of agreement. So when I say potential points of agreement, so we say the 5 steps to conflict resolution are: define the source of the conflict. What actually is the source of the conflict? Might be the husband travels 25 days out of town, comes back for 5 days, but is so busy in his work, has no time for the wife. Might be the wife has got her posting out of station, and the husband says that I'm here, I got married to have a life together, but how can you move out of station? So we need to see the source of the conflict. Look beyond the incident. When we say look beyond the incident, we have to understand that sometimes it is the last straw which broke the camel's back. They might come to you with one incident, but during the venting out, during the sessions, you can see that actually what brought them to this point. Request solutions. As I said in the previously also, as a mediator, we are not supposed to give suggestions to the parties. We cannot point out that in your situation, this would be the best thing to do. No, that even if we are seeing as human beings, we have to learn to not say it. We have to bring the parties to come out with options, and maybe somewhere then what you are thinking would be the best in their own interest, they will come out with it. The parties definitely come out with it, because as mediators, you empower them. You empower them for self-determination. Then you have to identify solutions which both disputants can support. As I said, that what has to be good for one party has to be good for the other party. In my example of the landlord-tenant, what was good for the tenant was also good for the landlord. The equity would make him recover his losses and also give him fresh business, which otherwise he was not doing. So you have to understand that what is good for both of them. Once they come to that point, settlement would be arrived. Agreement will be done. So there you, as I said, with experience, you will come to know immediately. SCARF is a module which we use to understand whether the conflict will be decided or not. When we talk about SCARF, it is SCRAF. When I talk of SCARF module in mediation, SCARF is, S talks about status. The status of the parties needs to be addressed. They will not compromise on their status. C stands for certainty. When you get options, there have to be some kind of certainty to the settlement. A stands for autonomy. When we say A, autonomy, then it is like in future, whether I will be in a position to take my decisions, whether this agreement which I do today will compromise on my autonomy, will like, where do I stand? So all these questions would need to be addressed. Then only a settlement will come through. When we say R, it is relatedness, whether the agreement which is coming through is going to give me that, empower me and make me feel that, yes, I can relate to the settlement. Yes, it is all right for me. And the last but not the least is fairness. When I talk of fairness, we always say that an agreement in mediation has to be followed, which is legally enforceable. And it has to be fair for both the parties. So the SCARF module, sorry?
No, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So SCARF module is that which you will come to know. Today, if I say SCARF module, you'll note it down. But with experience, automatically these words will fall into your mindset. When we talk of conflict and when we talk of the process of conflict, what happens is when there is a problem, conflict, problem, then there is a people, and then there are the options. So there is a triangle which we make since this is not working well, which is called ZOPA, Z-O-P-A. So the mediator in the mind gets the parties to ZOPA. ZOPA is zone of possible agreements. When the parties let go of certain rights, both the parties let go of certain rights, they will start generating their options based on their needs and on their interests. Once the parties do that, they will automatically start coming slowly and slowly to the zone of possible agreements. Once you have reached that stage, you do the scarf testing. Once that scarf testing is there, the settlement will come through. So all these aspects of mediations are there for you to actually experience. And nothing is more. Now, when I go for my mediations, I do not even realize at times that, oh, I have done this smart testing, I have done the ZOPA, I have done, because it is already ingrained over the years. With my experience, and I have been very fortunate to be taught by Mr. Shriram Panchu, Mr. Jawad, Sadhna ma'am, Nanavati sir. Sorry, my throat is choking because I'm just recovering. Nanavati sir. So I've been very fortunate to have been trained in the field of mediation by all the stalwarts. They are my gurus in this field. So I really feel so elated when I speak, because they have taught me. And if I am here today, I am only because they taught me well. And once you yourself will start practicing this appropriate dispute resolution, as I call mediation, you yourself will feel that there is a sense of satisfaction. As a litigating lawyer, the other party always looks at you with those looks, you know, when you win a case, the other party is not happy with you. But mediation, both parties go back with so much of grace, so much of thankfulness. So when I say that, thank you, Kavita ji has put forth the mediation, benefits of mediation slide before me. Mediation saves time, finances, social and emotional costs. When I say that, I gave you the example of how the parties who had filed divorce went back together. So the emotional cost was humongous, which was taken care of. Decision-making power remains with the parties. When you tell the parties that this is all about self-determination, a third person who's a judicial officer is only going into the merits of the case on evidence. You can decide what you want, dehorse the merits and the evidence. 2 + 2 is not necessarily 4. It is an out-of-box thinking. Take it wherever you're, so long as it is legally enforceable, you can make it anything that you want. Mediation can help to avoid grandstanding and deadlocks. When I say that, I gave you the example of the landlord-tenant dispute. There might have been a deadlock. The law will take its own course. This is not a special case of tenant-landlord. Might take next 2-3 years for any outcome. Till that time, that shop will be locked. The landlord will lose on money. The tenant will not have any business. So that deadlock was removed by mediation. When I say that focus on interest, not position, I will be repeating myself because I've said so many times that mediation is all about focusing on needs. It's not about rights. When we talk about rights, people take positions. In adversarial litigation, people refuse to budge because they have taken a stand. There is a lot of face saving to be done. But when you are in mediation, people do become flexible. They do realize that actually this is what I need. We have a very example which I learned as a student and I must share with you. There is this household where there is just one orange lying and two sisters are fighting for the orange. Now, the mother comes and she plays the role of a mediator. She asks the children, why are you both fighting? So she says, I need the orange. The elder daughter says, I need the orange too. Just because she's younger than me, she always takes away all the benefits. So the mother said, no, for me, you both are same. So then she made them sit down and then she said, tell me one by one, what do you need the orange for? So the younger one said, I am baking a cake and I need the orange to put the juice in the cake. She asked the elder, what do you need the orange for? So the elder said, oh, I need to make a face paste for my face and I need the skin outside and I need to dry it in the sun. So the mother said, problem solved. Here, she peels the orange, gave the peels to the elder, gave the full orange to the younger, and the dispute was resolved. Whereas the sisters were fighting and they were like really going on this rampage that, no, I need the orange, I need the orange. But the mother was wise and she played the mediator. So this is the role of a mediator, to see the underlying interest. The interest of the elder was to take the peel. The interest of the younger was to take the orange. So the matter was solved. Privacy and confidentiality. Yes, the mediator has to reiterate it time and again that whatever transpires in the mediation during the proceedings, whether in the joint or the private session, is always confidential. And as a mediator, no court can call the mediator to stand in the witness box and inform what transpired during the mediation. So the fact of confidentiality empowers the parties, because they feel that, okay, in case this is not settled, only a liner will go, matter is not settled. So they can continue in the court if it's a court annexed mediation from where they left. The further point is development of future-oriented win-win solutions and increasing the range of options. The same example of the landlord-tenant dispute, where from being merely landlord and tenant relation, they transgressed and became partners with equity sharing and taking the business forward. So the future relations improved and both of them benefited. So mediation improves communication. Yes, most definitely, I would say that without communication, sometimes the dispute is only because of lack of communication. Parties' ego, parties' pride, and the people around them telling them, if you do this, the other person will feel, oh, you are bending. So that thing makes the parties take stand, and then there is total lack of communication. So here, as a mediator, we open the doors, we facilitate communication, we facilitate the parties to talk, to vent out. So that really helps them improve the communication. Mediation will preserve and increase ongoing business, social, private. When I talk about this, then I gave an example that there is a contractor who just makes half of the building and then just leaves. Now, what is the interest of the contractor is that today everything has increased in costing and this is not beneficial for me. And what is in the interest of the person who's getting the building made, that I made a contract, so might as well finish it. And since he has all the rights and he has taken all the details and all the certifications, so it is in the interest of that owner to get the work done from the contractor. So what they can do is they can elicit options. The contractor can say, okay, you increase this amount of my contract by these many rupees and I will finish the work. The contractor can just put forth his point, because it is in his interest also and in his reputation also that he does not get this name that he's been going around doing work and finishing it off and not completing it. So that is important. Then I would say in the end, that sustainability of agreements and client satisfaction with agreed solutions. It is very important that our settlements in mediation are such that they cannot be challenged. They are not, even otherwise, mediation agreements cannot be challenged. But then there should be no gray areas left. If there is a dispute, it has to be finished in entirety. If there are, sometimes when it is a court annexed mediation in matrimonial cases, the parties may come to us in Supreme Court and transfer petition that transfer one case from one state to another. But then there would be a 498 FIR, there would be a domestic violence case, there would be a maintenance case under section 125. So all those are encapsulated in the settlement and everything is closed. So there is no scope for future litigation if any settlement is arrived at. The transfer petition will only transfer the case from one state to the other. So merely agreeing to that is not the crux. The gist of the matter is whether the marriage is to continue or whether the parties wish to part ways. Whether if they wish to part ways, then what is it that is required? So all these things have to be encapsulated, and then one settlement agreement is made whereby whether the parties continue together or part ways, all the litigation, all the periphery litigations are taken care of. In the end, I would just say, yes, this is a very nice quote of Mr. Nelson Mandela, which I read often. In Africa, there is a concept known as Ubuntu, the profound sense that we are human only through the humanity of others. That if we are to accomplish anything in this world, it will in equal measure be due to the work and achievements of others. Only great people come out with such quotes. He sacrificed his whole life, but then he says, it is not my achievement alone, it is the achievement of everyone. There is a word in Africa they also use besides Ubuntu, which is Amandla Matla. When Mr. Mandela was in jail, so there was a strong wave of Amandla Matla. And to the students, I would just say that though I have spoken and you might have missed something, you might have heard some things, I would just say that it is always good to read. So as a pointer book, I would say that please do read Mr. Shriram Panchu's books, which I read because I did not read the foreign authors initially because India has a different mindset. And in India, the emotions are more. There, in the Western world, it is more about commercial disputes. Here, the matrimonial disputes are maximum, which are governed by emotions. And Sir has very well taken care of all. The 3 books which Sir has written, if you can just note the name, Mediation, Practice and Law, The Path to Successful Dispute Resolution. The second book which I recommend is Settle for More. And the third book which I would recommend is The Commercial Mediation Monogram. These are like an encyclopedia, and even now, after so many years of my practice, I just go and refer to it. That, of course, and besides that, if you want to try for your first book on mediation of an international author, I would recommend Roger Fisher and William Murray's Getting Past No. Please go through these books. They are really beneficial and they have benefited all of us. We've all gone through these books. It's always good to read a book, I would say, not necessarily see the Google and all those social media for your knowledge, but books are they add a great value even today. And with that note, I would say thank you so much for a wonderful opportunity. I have felt so good talking about this experience of mine. Thank you so much.
Very good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Tarakeshwari Guluswan, Assistant Professor. And a very good afternoon to Honorable Mr. Justice Arun Chaya. We are indeed fortunate to have an enlightening and informative sessions from both of you. Your discussions have definitely churned up and thrown a few questions. So the first question is addressed to your Lordship. A participant asks, what is the difference between court-annexed mediation and referred mediation?
The basic difference is that as far as we are concerned, and as Ms. Pooja Anand has already dealt with this, we have court-annexed mediation in India. We as judges sometimes refer the matter to the court, to the mediation centers situated at High Court and even district courts, for example, in Gujarat. But that does not, according to me, limit the activity of mediation. It can be done even if it is not a court-annexed mediation. That is what the need of the hour is today. Ms. Pooja Anand would endorse my view that in Delhi, that system is prevailing and it is very successful, most probably in Saket.
No, sir. In
Delhi High Court itself.
If I may, Lordship, we are having this in the Samadhan Center of Delhi High Court.
Delhi High Court. I stand corrected.
Where prior to going, especially in matrimonial cases or even in commercial suits, people are coming.
Even in MSCT cases, now it is being done, as I was informed.
That is mandatory also, Lordship, because under the Commercial Courts Act, matters are coming to Saket Court also from the DLSA. So they are being referred, and I have had the good fortune of handling many such cases. Or when, if I could just elaborate that when it is a court-annexed mediation, then the settlement is done as a mediation agreement.
Yes,
but if it is a pre-litigation mediation, then it is governed under Section 73 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, and then we write conciliated agreement. Conciliation agreement has the same legal right as an award. So it is an executable. So it's an award.
I may add even one procedural difference, that when it is a court-referred mediation, after the mediation is successful, it goes back to the court and it is recorded in the court.
Absolutely.
Whereas what you are referring, it doesn't go to the court at all, because it's not even a part of any type of litigation. It is pre-litigation stage. So the stages are different.
Absolutely.
At which the mediation intervenes.
Yeah, we record the conciliated settlement on 100 rupees stamp paper.
Yes. Whereas in court-annexed mediation, it is not necessary. It can be even on it is generally on a simple piece of paper.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And in form of a report, it goes to the court back.
Thank you, Your Lordship. I would like to ask one more question, that considering the situation of pendency of cases in the courts and the importance of ADR as a means of dispute resolution, how do we impress upon the general public to opt for these measures? Because we still have a tendency to approach the regular courts. So how do we do it?
See, ma'am, therefore I was emphasizing on the training at the stage of graduation, because what happens that our tendency is that if there is a dispute,
yes, sir,
one would always first go to the advocate and try to see that it is redressed in a court of law, because we exist in an adversary system. The mindset, as I have narrated in my lecture, the mindset has to be changed, which according to me would come only when there is proper awareness about the system. As a sitting judge, I cannot narrate in open forum what are the real difficulties, but Pooja Anand can take that liberty as an advocate.
I appreciate Lordship has limitations.
Yeah, I just give an example or add to what she was saying.
Absolutely, Lordship.
I can't name the parties, I can't name even the act. A matter came before us. The parties wanted to settle it in a particular manner, but there was no provision for that in that particular act.
Okay.
We facilitated mediation before the Gujarat High Court mediation. After a week, they came and withdrew the writ petition. That is also one way of looking at it. It was incidentally a matter from your city. Only that much I can disclose.
Yeah.
So it happened.
Thank
It was
you.
not it was not an illegal act. Otherwise, we could not have done it. We would not have done it. But the act did not provide for such a solution which the parties wanted before us. Therefore, even court settlement was not possible. But that mediation paved their way for that.
Thank you, Your Lordship. Pooja, madam, there's a question for you. Can an arbitrator act as a mediator in the same case?
Yes.
It is ethically not allowed for an arbitrator to be a mediator in the same case, though as of now, ARB is the process which is being followed. Parties go to arbitration, but midway they realize that yes, they can settle the matter. So it is advisable to go to a neutral person because the role of an arbitrator is to adjudicate. It is quasi-judicial proceedings, and the arbitrator is supposed to give an award on the basis of the evidence led before him. But prior to that, if the parties feel that yes, they can settle the matter, it is advisable to appoint a neutral third person as a mediator, get the mediation settlement, and then have the award by way of a settlement, so that the ARB should follow. So it is advisable for getting it back to the arbitrator and getting the award recorded in the terms of the settlement of the mediation.
Thank you so much, ma'am. There's one more question. Can a lien on settlement agreement be exercised by a mediator in case the mediation fees are not paid by the parties?
Mediation fees is not paid by the parties as of now for quote next mediation. It is primarily pro bono. They don't have to pay anything. For pre-litigation mediation, especially now that the process has begun, the fees again is not paid to the mediator, but is given to the registrar of the particular high court, and then only the matter is listed. Now, I think it will be like putting the cart before the horse, but when we have we have also worked on the draft mediation bill, which was placed before the Rajya Sabha, which Honorable Lordship had pointed out in the December 2021. Once that comes into the form of an act, then there it is very clearly mentioned that there will be certain institutes which will be governing the whole process. So parties are never going to be directly paying to the mediator. They will go through the institute. So everything will be taken care of by the institute. So as of now, money is something which we as mediators who are doing it more out of passion and as a service to the society to come to a point where there are less disputes and there is more positive atmosphere. So this thing has not been there, but yes, there might be some process which the institutes, once the act comes into play, then there might be some kind of thing, the process, or maybe they have to deposit the amount in advance for the mediation process to begin. Something should be taken care of at that time. We'll cross the bridge when it comes.
Yeah.
But as of now, that is not an occasion for any lien or anything, because the parties are not paying for their mediations. It is done pro bono for them.
Thank you so much for painstakingly and patiently answering our questions, madam. And thank you so much, Honorable Justice Mr. Arun Chaya. We are indeed honored to have both of you and enlighten us on the contemporary topic of ADR. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me this great opportunity to interact with all of you. And indeed, it has been a delightful morning. There was so much to learn from Lordship. Lordship has really given great inspiration by his words. So thank you, Lordship.
Only thing is, we'll keep our lien on the webinar.
Right, sir.
Over to you, Ashwi ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Dara ma'am, for helping the students out with the queries. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for the valuable inputs and satisfying the students' queries. Thank you. Now I would request Rajendra Parekh, sir, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Law, to deliver the vote of thanks to our honorable guests. Over to you, sir.
To express a vote of thanks on behalf of Faculty of Law, the MAHARAJA Sayajirao University of Baroda. I am thankful to Honorable Mr. Justice R.N. Chhaya sir for accepting our invitation and to remain present in inaugural sessions of the webinar on mediation, which is one of the important aspects of alternative dispute resolution system. Thank you, sir, for suggesting to start the PG diploma in mediation and providing insight in the areas of mediation. I am thankful to Ms. Kavita Balakrishnan, Advocate, Mediator, Secretary, Mediators India, for accepting our invitation and remaining present in the webinar and for showing her mediations, which is one of the most emerging area in judicial systems. And once again, thank you, madam, for suggesting to have more books on the mediation having in our library, and the remaining books we are planning to enriching our students in the area of mediation. I am thankful to university authorities for their unconditional support and motivating us for organizing such events. I am thankful to Professor Uma Iyer, Faculty of Law, for her guidance in organizing, which is helpful to the budding lawyers and society at large. Thank you, ma'am. I am thankful to the entire team of this webinar for their fruitful efforts in making this event grand. I am also thankful to the faculty members and staff for their continuous support and cooperation in organizing such events. Last but not the least, I am thankful to the participants for their overwhelming response in webinar and their active participation. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for delivering the vote of thanks. Thank you, everyone, for joining and making this webinar successful, making this possible. I hope that we will have many more interactive sessions in the future too. Hope you all enjoyed the session. Thanks all. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, sir. Thanks, everyone. And have a great day ahead.
Thank you, everyone. And we will be starting the PG diploma in mediation, and we'll need the support. Okay, so I think jointly with Mediators India and all the key speakers who are there in this session, you know, they can help us out in designing the curriculum. So we can have a 1-year PG diploma with 40 credits and work out the theory and practical aspects of it. And definitely, if the books are missing in the library, we'll also procure those books for the students and the staff to refer. Thank you so much. So much of learning took place. Though I am a non-law person, okay, it was interesting. And I also learned quite a few things. So good learning for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.